Have you ever felt a deep sadness that doesn't seem to have a clear origin in your own life? An anxiety that arises out of nowhere? Or an irrational fear of scarcity even when you have enough? Sometimes we walk through the world carrying a weight on our shoulders, a fatigue in the soul that no night of sleep can cure. The truth that modern psychology and epigenetics are beginning to uncover is overwhelming. You may be living the grief of an ancestor or carrying the terror of a war you never fought. We like to believe that we are isolated individuals, the sole authors of our own story. But the reality is that we are the final chapter of a book written by hands that are no longer here. Carrying traumas that aren't yours is like inheriting a debt you never signed for, yet one the world insists on collecting from you every day through your emotional patterns. It's an invisible guest who sits at the table with you, dictates your romantic choices, and whispers insecurities in your ear. In this video, we will dive into the abyss of emotional inheritance and understand how to return what was never yours. Prepare yourself, because what you're about to hear may be the key to a freedom you didn't even know you needed. Science now confirms what intuition has always suggested. Trauma leaves physical marks. When your grandparents went through severe famine, tragic losses, or systemic oppression, their bodies adapted for survival. Those adaptations, states of constant alert, fight or flight responses, did not die with them. They were chemically encoded and passed on. You inherited more than just eye color or the shape of a nose. You inherited the architecture of their nervous system. Imagine your emotional system as a computer. You try to run programs of happiness and abundance, but there is background code, an old malware, telling you that the world is dangerous and that people will abandon you. That code was written in moments of despair by those who came before you. You find yourself reacting to present situations with an intensity that doesn't match reality. That is intergenerational trauma manifesting itself. It is the pain of a mother who never felt loved showing up as insatiable neediness in her daughter. It is a grandfather's fear of poverty emerging as paralyzing miserliness in his grandson. We are trapped in a labyrinth of mirrors where the pains of the past reflect endlessly into the present. Why is it so difficult to let go of this weight? The answer lies in a profound psychological concept: invisible loyalty. Unconsciously, we believe that if we stop suffering the way our parents suffered, we are betraying them. There is a silent guilt in being happy when those who gave us life were deeply unhappy. It is as if, by carrying their pain, we are saying, "I see you, I love you, and I share your burden so you won't be alone." This loyalty is an act of distorted love. We punish ourselves in order to feel that we belong to the clan. If everyone in your family failed at love, your success can feel like exclusion. If everyone lived in bitterness, your joy sounds like an insult. And so, we repeat the same mistakes, choose the same abusive partners, and sabotage the same opportunities, all to maintain the status quo of familial pain. It is a cycle of repetition that keeps us chained to the infertile soil of the past. Breaking this loyalty requires brutal courage because it means accepting that you can and must be the exception without that erasing the love you feel for your lineage. How do you know if the trauma you carry isn't actually yours? The first sign is disproportion. If a small criticism at work makes you feel as if your life is falling apart, or if the fear of losing someone leads you into paralyzing panic attacks, there is something deeper at play. These are archaic reactions to modern problems. Another clear sign is the feeling of a repeated destiny. You look at your life and realize you are making exactly the same mistakes your parents swore you would never make. There is also the inexplicable emptiness, a sadness without a face, a grief for something you never possessed. Many people spend decades in therapy trying to resolve childhood trauma, only to discover that the root of the issue lies in a family secret locked away 2 generations back. Unmourned abortions, hidden suicides, lost fortunes, or silenced crimes. What the family silences, the body of the next generation screams. You become the spokesperson for a pain that is not allowed to be spoken aloud. Recognizing these symptoms is not about seeking blame, but about identifying where the chain of pain must be broken. Healing begins with differentiation. You must learn to look at your pain and ask, is this mine or is it theirs? This is a process of emotional weaning. Imagine yourself standing before your ancestors and, with all respect and reverence, visualize yourself returning to them the burdens you tried to carry out of love. It is necessary to say internally, I see your pain, I honor your suffering, but I choose to leave it with you. I do not need to suffer for you to be remembered. Returning the trauma is not about forgetting the past. It is about giving the past its rightful place, behind you. When you carry the trauma of others, you walk backward into the future, constantly looking at what was lost. When you return that weight, you turn toward life. This requires establishing internal boundaries. It means understanding that you are not the savior of your family tree. You cannot fix what happened in 1950, but you can ensure that what happened then does not define your 2026. Healing is an act of sacred disobedience. It is deciding that the lineage of pain ends with you, and that the lineage of awareness begins now. When you finally release the weight of traumas that are not yours, something miraculous happens. You free not only yourself, but also future generations. You become the transitional ancestor, the one who processed the pain, who transformed poison into medicine, and who left a clear path for those who will come after. The freedom you claim today is the oxygen your children and grandchildren will breathe tomorrow. They will no longer have to fight ghosts they have never seen. Carrying only what is yours is already a great enough challenge. Life is too short to be spent living the tragedies of the dead. Honor your ancestors by living the life they could not have. Be happy for them, prosper for them, love deeply for them. Transform an inheritance of pain into an inheritance of wisdom. The weight you felt was not a punishment. It was a call to healing. And now that you know this, the burden can finally be set down. Take a deep breath. The path ahead is clear, and for the first time, the steps are yours alone.